subscribe.
Hello everybody and welcome back. My name's Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on the Titanic sad song, or more commonly known as Nearer My God to Thee. Tragically, when the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, when the Titanic, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning or something approximately, when the Titanic was actually sinking, there was a string quartet, or there was a group of musicians. I can't remember whether there were 3 or 4 of them, but anyway, they were supposedly up on deck while all the people were running around trying to get into lifeboats and all that kind of stuff. But supposedly the musicians were there playing music, just playing their string stuff, the stuff that they used to play at dinner for the upper class people, and they were supposedly playing on the deck to try and help calm everybody down. And legend has it that they were actually playing the Titanic sad song, as it's called, or Nearer My God to Thee, just as the Titanic sank before the musicians unfortunately went down with the boat. So it is a beautiful song, and I just thought I simply had to share it with you. And what I've done is a true easy tradition style, how I've done my other easy violin tutorials. I've written it out this way for you. I know you might not be able to see it so clearly here, but I'll put a link to this in the comment bar right underneath the video, so you can download and you can print it out for free. I'm getting a lot of people asking me where all the music is and where all the links is for everything I'm getting in the video. That everything I do is always, the link is always going to be in the description bar underneath, unless I've accidentally forgotten to put it in which case someone can just put a comment and remind me and I'll read it. But everything is always going to be in the description bar underneath, which is free and easy for you to print out and download and all that kind of thing and have a go at it. So I would suggest that you get your copy and print it out, and then we can go through it together. I've actually decided to go one step further with this, and I've recorded a backing track for you guys to have as well. Now, what I've done is I've recorded like a 3-part harmony. So I'm going to play the main tune of this for you just in a second, and I'm going to give you a close-up of my fingers so you can see where they're going on the dots on the violin and everything, and that'll give you an idea of where you need to put your fingers in relation to where you are in the music in case you get stuck. But what you'll notice on the backing track, that's also going to be a link in the description bar underneath as well, which will be free for you to have download, and you can put on your phone or your iTunes or burn onto CD, whatever you want to do with it. There will be 2 other violin parts that I've actually recorded myself for you, so that when you put them together with the melody that you're going to be playing on here, it's going to sound fantastic. Now, it's completely up to you whether you want to do that or not. You can just play this and you can just play it solo, completely on your own. To be fair, it's such a lovely tune that it will pretty much hold up on its own anyway without anything at all. So if you do play with the backing track, it's great as well. When you hear me play it and demo it for you, I will actually have the 2 other violin parts that I've just spent the last half an hour just before I did this video recording for you as well. I don't know, I just thought it added an air of authenticity, so the musicians that were playing on the Titanic would have played in harmony as well. So it's up to you whether you want to use with or without. So without further ado, I'm going to play this for you. I'm going to give you a close-up of my fingers, and then we're going to come back and I'm just going to take you through one or 2 steps. This is pretty simple, just like the others really, but just 1 or 2 things that I perhaps just need to mention to you before, just in case you get stuck on anything. So here is my version, or my arrangement, of the Titanic sad song, or Nearer My God to Thee, for you. Okay, so that was the Titanic sad song, "O Nearer My God to Thee." So if you can see from your printout, it's best if you've got your copy in front of you so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Remember, it's free for you to print out and download and everything. So the same as before, I've written out the words so you can follow how it's going. If the words are ever so slightly different to the version that you know, it doesn't really matter. Some of the notes might be ever so slightly different, so I might play 2 3s or 2 notes and you're used to sort of playing 1. It doesn't really matter, just adapt it to how you want to adapt it. I've pretty much sort of done this by ear, so to speak, and following the words, so hopefully it fits the best that everybody knows anyway. So if you follow the words, that will give you an idea of where the tune is supposed to be going to and from, and the numbers above are obviously going to be referring to the fingers. So the first one is 3, and then the second one is 2, and the next one is a 1, so it's just referring to which fingers. And then if you're wondering which string to put them on, above that in red I've got A, then D, and then A, which is just on the first line. So the first string I've written is A, then you can see there's a long line, so you're going to be playing all of those notes underneath that long line on the same string, on the A string in other words, until you get to the word 2, which has finger 3, and that's going to be on the D string. So for example, to start with, nearer is finger 3 and 2, which is on the A string. My is a 1 on the A string. God is also a 1 on the A string because it's still under that long line. Then 2 is a 3rd finger on the D string. Thee is a 3rd finger on the D string. Nearer is a 2, or the first part of nearer, near, is a 2 still on the D string, and then r, the second part of nearer, is now a 1 on the A string. 2 is a 3, is a 3rd finger on the A string, and the is a 2nd finger on the A string, and it just goes through all the way like that. So again, you can use the tune that you know in your head to sort of help it make sense. So that's how those work, but I'm sure if you've seen my other ones or my other videos, my really easy versions of tutorials, they are all written out exactly the same way. I have only written sort of 1 verse in the recording, or in the playing that I did for you, I did 2 verses, so it's completely up to you how many times you want to play it through. I just felt that 1 just really wasn't quite enough, and it was so nice that I just really wanted to play it again. But it's up to you if you want to play it 3 or 4 times, whatever, entirely up to you. I suppose the most important thing, and which is going to help you, or really going to identify whether it's going to sound good or not, is where your fingers need to be. So if you can have a look and see on the sheet, I've written backs, quite a few backs everywhere, and they're mainly under the 2nd fingers and they're mainly under the 1st fingers. So what that just basically means is, what I mean by back is that if I talk about the 2nd finger first, if your 1st finger normally sits on the blue dot, or my blue dot, where the 1st finger would normally go on your violin, my 3rd finger sits on the yellow dot. Now we know there are 2 places the 2nd finger can go. It can go stretched next to the 3rd finger, or it can go back next to the 2nd finger. Now, next to the 1st finger. Now, back is what I mean. So when you see a back under the number 2 or under the finger 2, it means that it's going to be right next door to that 1st finger. If it's not, then it's not going to be in tune. So on the A string and on the E string, I think that's all, yes, it has to be back next to the 1st finger. You'll notice that 1st fingers have backs underneath them as well. Now normally the 1st finger would sort of go roughly here. As you know, it'll give you on the E string, it'll give you an F sharp, then a B, then an E, then an A, but the 1st fingers have to be back. So if you can feel where it gets to that kind of knobbly bit at the top there, you want to be pretty much there. So some people don't always go back enough, they only go back a little bit. You pretty much have to go back until you can't go back any further. So that's where finger 1 needs to be, on the A string, and again finger 1 needs to be on the E string. Now if you notice when I did the close-up, I had, where was it I ended? The 2nd line, even though it be a cross that raiseth me, I end on a 1 on the A string, which is back. Still all my song shall be, that starts with a 1, also back on the E string. If you notice, I rolled it over. I didn't pick it up and put it down because I'll get an open string in the middle of that. I just rolled it over there. So that's where your 1st finger needs to be. One other thing you probably need to be aware of off the back of that is, because the 1st finger is back, the second finger is now not really next door to it. So when I mean the second finger needs to be back, this is why I did the second finger first, then the second finger needs to be back where the first finger would go normally. So which would be here. So if I've got my finger over the dot and I put my second finger next door, that's where it's going to be. Now, when I'm going to leave it here, now when I put my first finger back, can you see there's a bit of a gap there? So because the first finger's back, you don't want the second finger going next to it, because that means the second finger's going to go where the first finger would originally go, if all of that makes sense. I know it's really confusing. So suffice to say that the second finger should go next door to the first finger, where the first finger would normally go on an everyday situation. That is there. And then remember, there's going to be a bit of a gap when your first finger is back there. So don't compensate for that being back. Keep the second finger where it should be, and remember that the first finger is back. Don't put the second finger now next to the first finger, because if you can see, the second finger is going to go on the blue dot, which is where my first finger goes originally, and then it's all going to be messed up. I think that's almost pretty much it. You need to experiment with the bowing here. I was thinking about putting in some bowing marks and things, but I just wonder whether that's going to take away the fact of it being really easy. So I'm just going to leave it up to you guys really. If you want to slur, I did slur some of the notes just to make it nice and smooth, but you can do it separate bows if you want to. Or if you slurred, I'm pretty much just slurring it in twos. I'm just slurring it kind of, I suppose as I would speak it, nearer my God to thee. So I'm just, I don't know, it's a tricky one. I just thought it would complicate things if I did start to put bowing marks in there, and yes, it would probably take away from the fact that it's supposed to be really easy, and then it wouldn't be really easy because it would just be annoyingly complicated for you, because you're trying to, you know, most of you just want to get a good tune out anyway. So I thought I would just leave the bowing, but just experiment with it. Don't be afraid, just experiment. If I would just say start with a down bow, because it starts on the main beat of the bar. It starts on beat 1, so just start with a down bow, and everything else should be fine from there. So if you want to slur a couple of bows, go ahead and slur a couple of bows. It will just gel the piece together, and it will just make it sound a little bit more musical, and perhaps a little bit more sad-like, possibly. But it still won't make a difference if you play it separate bow anyway. Like I said, it's quite a nice piece, so it will stand up on its own anyway. So I hope you enjoyed that quick little tutorial of the Titanic sad song, and yeah, please do download the music and everything and have a go. And if you've got some video responses of yourself playing it, I'd love to hear them. And don't forget, my backing track is going to be underneath it as well for you to have. I'm sorry if the quality's not great, but I'm not the best mixer in the world, so I've just put a little bit of reverb on the backing and hoping for the best really, but it should be okay. The quality should be okay for you. So thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you all next time.
Subscribe.